All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Livewire, the program where we take your questions from the chat. On today's program, we're going to be talking about growing power, a climate, nutrition, and food sovereignty summit that's going to be held at the College of the Muscogee Nation campus on November 7th and 8th. I'm your host, Jared Moore, and we are being joined today by Mr. Christopher Azbell. He is the coordinator for the College of the Muscogee Nation's Extension Program. Thank you so much for joining us today, Chris.
Hey, thank you guys for having me. And my my title on my picture may say Lacey because I don't have a Gmail account, so sometimes it's just easier to use her. So I'm actually Chris, not Lacey. Everybody.
Well, that's what marriage is all about, right? But with that being said, Chris, could you talk a little bit about the summit? Tell us, what is it? What are the objectives of it?
Yeah, so we got approached several months ago, probably back in maybe June, from the Falcon Institute, which is a consortium that supports land grant institutions, TCU, tribal college universities. And they said they had some money available, and they wanted to see if we wanted to do a little conference or workshop. And so I started thinking about it, and I was like, sure. And over the last several months, I started developing kind of what it would look like, and then we came up with this growing power, a climate, nutrition, and food sovereignty summit. And what we wanted is a conference that would be empowering to people, would be educational, and that could drive discussion and discourse, and then have a call to action so that we're not sitting around talking all the time. We're actually promulgating action after the conference. And so this is just the start, hopefully, of our first annual food sovereignty conference, and just drive the conversation. What do we want as Muscogee Nation citizens for our government to do, and what areas do you want us to become more active in? And I think this kind of starts that conversation and starts gathering the kind of a meeting of the minds is what I kind of envision of.
I got
So
you. So,
yeah.
so, so what can people expect? Are there going to be presenters? Or is there going to be roundtables? Like, what is the conference going to consist of?
Yeah, so we've kind of modified it from the original. We were going to have a roundtable at the end. We've had it scheduled. We've had some other people that were interested in presenting, so I've kind of eliminated the roundtable. But what we're going to do is we're going to have an 8 to 5 agenda on the first day, with a 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock. What I'm calling is a networking and empowerment event. That's going to be at OSU at the fairgrounds. We actually have a band coming in.
Okay.
We're going to have an open mic night at that. So we'll have a full slate of speakers from, topics of global warming to pollinators to, living off the grid or GMOs. We have a number of different speakers. And then the second day is just basically from 8 to 12:30, basically. And
Gotcha.
so, in conjunction with those two, I think we have a really good slate of speakers. It's a free conference. We've got over 100 people registered already, so we only have maybe 10 available slots
Okay.
for anybody to actually sign up at this point.
Okay.
You know,
And you guys, if you want to sign up, if you just heard that and you're like, I want to get at this conference, there's a link in the description of this video to where you can go and register for this conference. And like Chris said, it's free, but you got to register to attend, and there's only about 10 slots left. So if you want to get there,
correct.
you need to get there as soon as possible. So it sounds like the event's going to be taking place in two locations, the College of Muscogee Nation on the 7th, right? And then the OSU campus on the 8th, the OSU
No,
Oklahoma campus.
it's actually on both days. We'll be at the College of Muscogee Nation, our new STEM building,
Okay.
which is a large auditorium and have a big screen. It'll be really nice sound and video. Just the social networking event is going to be at Oklahoma State on the first night from 5 to 7.
Okay. Okay.
And I kind of, anybody that's attending will clearly explain that. We kind of want to just kind of get out of the environment for the social networking part of it.
Mm-hmm.
You get stuck there all day, and you kind of want to do something different. And having a band and food and stuff, we wanted to make sure that it was in a different location, and some people may want to go home, but
Mm-hmm.
we're also inviting anybody that wants to come to that, whether you're registered for the conference or not. Feel free to come to the social networking event, and that's an empowerment night. You want to talk about climate change, you want to talk about food sovereignty, whatever issue you want to talk about. It's energy. It's that's in the context of our conference we like for you to come out and visit us. So there'll be some snacks and drinks, just soft drinks, and anybody wants to come out for that, from 5 to 7, we'd love to have you for that as well.
Awesome. And so this is something where if people register for it, they need to kind of block out each day, like the whole day, to come to the conference, and or is it something where people can pop in and out whenever they want to? Like, are they going to be checked in and get badges or something, or is it just going to be like free flowing?
Yeah, no, it's going to be, you'll be checked in the morning. We have conference bags. We have a conference poster. We're going to have some giveaways for people that can make it all day. The first day we'll have a giveaway. Then we'll have a giveaway, a nice giveaway for the second day. We really like for people to register so we can track that. We operate under a federal grant, and there's some civil rights requirements and et cetera, in terms of targeting a diverse population. And so we want to make sure that we're in compliance with that. But we just want people to, you know, schedule off an entire day, a day and a half, and really enjoy the entire conference. And it's going to be once a year. And I think there's a lot of great information that people can walk away with feeling really empowered and say, hey, can I make a difference? Can I personally make a difference on climate change? Can I personally make a difference on promoting food sovereignty in the Muscogee Nation community? All these different things is like, hey, yes, you can. It's not going to happen overnight, but let's start the conversation and start working towards these end goals that we all have.
Absolutely. So we've talked about what the conference is. Do you want to talk about some of the speakers? Because it sounds like the scheduling's kind of changed to include some more speakers. Is that accurate?
Yeah, we were going to have a roundtable at the end of maybe, I think I had originally had it on day 2 as like a roundtable, and it was going to have all the speakers up and people could ask questions. We may be able to do that at the end if time permits. If some people get if we're ahead of schedule, we may do that at the end. But so on the first day, we have our opening ceremonies. Then we have Jay Hayes at 8:30. He's going to come on and talk about global warming. And I had a professor in college used to say, is it too early to determine if it's too late?
Right.
Kind of like watching that tornado that is about to hit your house. The very, very last second you jump in the cellar.
Yeah, yeah.
I think global warming is kind of like that. And then at 9:30 we have Brandon Gibson from the Tribal Alliance Pollinators. He's going to talk about pollinators on the U.S. food supply. And then at 10:30 we have Bill and Tammy Breckenridge. There's a book that I read back in the 90s called The Good Life. If you ever read that book, but it's kind of a book about living off the grid. And I think in today's times, you may not be fully off the grid, but self-sustaining, independence, those ideas are out there, and I think it's a lot is desirable for a lot of people now.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
They'll be speaking as a duet at 10:30. We're going to have an awesome lunch at Muscogee Indian community that will be provided by, and we have buses taking people over there. It's going to be catered by Luke Square Meat Company.
So awesome
barbecue dinner. Then at 1 we come back, and Dr. William McGlynn from Oklahoma State, he's going to be talking about GMOs, and we have it framed as facts, truths, concerns in the future. There's a lot of misinformation about GMOs, the role it plays in modern day times and modern day ag production, and that also is a conversation that we all need to have in terms of our food sovereignty.
Yes.
So we'll talk about that. At 2 o'clock, we have Cindy Luttrell from the Oklahoma Mesonet, University of Oklahoma, in conjunction with Oklahoma State University Extension, Oklahoma Mesonet. And she's going to talk about this online resource for agriculturalists and really anybody, horticulturalists, agriculturalists, anybody that grows things. It's a wealth of information that's underutilized in the state of Oklahoma, so I'm trying to put that out there. And then we'll round out the first day with Curry Blankenship, Muscogee Creek Nation Environmental Department. He's going to be talking about protecting our most valuable resources, which is water. Water is going to be that one limiting factor that affects economic growth, affects just growth in general. And you see right now we're in a crazy drought. It's really, really windy out there. And, water is something that's a very precious resource that we all need to take care of. And, so we're also going to have Jeff Caskey from the Intertribal Ag Council. He's going to come in and just introduce what the Intertribal Ag Council is. And then for the first day, we're going to have final words for the first day because a lot of people don't come back the second day. So I wanted to have those final words just from Dr. Monty Randall, kind of rounding up the day, and then he'll do that at 4:45, and then from 5 to 7 we'll have that networking event. Second day, we'll have a little complimentary breakfast. It won't be bacon and eggs and hash browns and all that, but it'll be a nice little breakfast, probably donuts and sausage rolls and stuff like that. And then Ben Yeho is going to kick us off with a traditional song, and then Kent Sandman from Kiowa Nation and Veronica Pipestem has been added. Veronica was added late. They're gonna duly speak on corn history, origins, and kind of opportunities that are out there around corn.
Oh, awesome.
That connection to the Muscogee Nation. At 9:30, we have Tori Seymour, Muscogee Creek Nation Health Department. Excuse me, Muscogee Creek Nation Division of Health. She's going to be talking about preventing obesity and diabetes and the traditional dietary alternatives that go, with prevention of obesity and diabetes, which is a huge issue for us as natives. And a lot of my grandma was diabetic. A lot of my family members are diabetic. My dad's diabetic. And so it's a big issue for society at large, but particularly for natives.
Yeah.
And then 10:30, you probably recognize this name, Carly Hotvet. She's with the IFAI, which is a food safety entity with the University of Arkansas. And she's going to be coming talking about food safety policy update, and it's all with a native perspective in terms of us engaging in food sovereignty. We also need to make sure that we have food safety and the laws that back up food safety and protect our citizens from foodborne issues, allergies, or foodborne illness. And then lastly, on the at 11:30, we have Leah Campbell. She works for Kimberly Horn. She's a Muscogee Nation citizen. She works in the realm of landscape architecture for Kimberly Horn. Done a lot of really awesome projects, and she's going to come in and talk about landscape architecture and creating outdoor spaces and experiences through landscaping and utilizing native plants and how that can bring a lot of value to your life. And I think it's going to be really, really interesting. And it's kind of an outside the box thinking in terms of climate, nutrition, and food sovereignty, but just getting people re-engaged in horticulture and re-engaged in ag starts with creating a space, like a safe space for yourself, and say, hey, this really is empowering me. Growing things really does empower the individual. And then I'll close out the session with just some closing remarks, and then we'll have a end of conference networking. And basically, we're going to take a little tour of our garden if the weather permits, and we'll have a box lunch for people to take home. And so lots of food. And then Courtney Natsway, I don't know if I mentioned her. She'll be the MC.
Awesome.
I've MC'd plenty of things in my life, and I want to make sure that other people get the opportunity and build them up and build up their leadership skills and drive them forward and get them known in the community. So
yeah, absolutely.
She's works with you on the Muscogee Gardening Series, and so a lot of people will recognize her. And so
yeah, and the lineup sounds like a real blockbuster lineup. A lot of that stuff I want to go and get signed up. I'm not going to take somebody's slot, but I'd like to go and attend those lectures. And then
I'd love for Mvskoke Media to be there and cover it.
Oh yeah, sure.
We have some flexibility. Not every single person is going to show up. A lot of people will register and then will show up. So we have some flexibility in terms of those numbers. But love to have you and Mvskoke Media there, and make this just it's not the end goal of our CMN extension, but it's just a stepping stone in the right direction in terms of empowerment, education, and just getting us all working together. And the government's not going to do it all. It's got you got to have a movement that comes from the citizens, and we'll be there to support it and let it grow. That's kind of what I see.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you guys are a fan of the gardening series and you want to meet Courtney or see Courtney, she's going to be the MC at this, so you should sign up for it. And Chris was saying there's only about 10 or so slots left. So if you want to register, click the link in the description of this video, and you can go and try to get registered to get to the conference. Chris, this conference sounds awesome. What's next for the extension program after this?
Yeah, so we have probably about I don't know, six to eight grants that we basically have submitted. We're really working with our partners at Oklahoma State, Langston. We have a really significant grant that we put in with United States EPA. It's a community change grant. It's a multi-million dollar grant that and some of our folks, our community partners or partners on that grant are actually flying in from California and all around the country
Hmm.
to come to this conference. And so
Wow.
we framed that community change grant as growing power. And what it is, that's basically for us to develop like an entrepreneurial certification program centered around the new economy, which we see as sustainable energy, renewable energy, and then localizing these food and ag systems and building out this Muscogee Nation economy and creating this next generation of entrepreneurs.
Hmm.
And they have a track record of success in this area. They've worked at very, very high levels. The people on our committee worked in the Barack Obama administration. They've worked all around the world empowering communities and doing this.
Hmm.
And so they reached out to us through AG and through Falcon to basically partner. So we are like the premier partner on this program and have a lion's share of the money. And so that's one of the big things that's going to come down the pipe. And what we envision is an entrepreneurial certification program in conjunction with a community garden, in conjunction with training on solar panels and training on renewable energy. And so
Wow.
we have a lot of things coming down in that area that I think people will be really surprised once we start making these things happen.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. Um, and for you guys that are watching, if you don't know, Chris and the Extension also do a column that we run in the newspaper and on the web. It's called Chewing the Cud, where he talks about things that are going on at the Extension. So if you want to check back in with that, if you get the paper, you can go and read his column and see what's going on with the Extension. Chris, I want to thank you for joining us today. It's been a great program. I haven't seen any questions pop up in the chat, but that's probably because we're doing such a good job covering
Yeah,
everything.
yeah, no worries.
but with this summit, it sounds like it's pretty jam packed with people already. Is there going to be any thing where you guys are going to share any of this information digitally with people after the fact, or live streaming, or anything like that associated with this, or
Yeah,
social media posts?
that is a great question. I'm actually trying to work out maybe a live stream.
Okay.
Uh, and I've been working with our IT. We've had one request from a citizen that saw it from that I think lives out in California.
Mm-hmm.
And so, there's some logistical things around that. I need to see if we have the people committed to it, if we're just going to set it up there and basically make it live stream and just basically you can get on and watch it anytime. If
Mm-hmm.
that's going to be converted over to some digital platform. I mean, ideally, I think we need to, we have a lot of good information that's being shared.
Mm-hmm.
I just need to figure out uh,
Where you guys can go
if
with
there's
it.
any restrictions in terms of like some of the entities that are providing the information. If they
Mm-hmm.
want, and so, but that's a great question. I think live streaming is very doable, and because we have the technological, the technology to do that very easily.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's going to be a to be determined. I will try to get that out this week in terms of if we're able to do that. But that's a
Okay.
good question.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it,
if
it
you
would
guys,
we'd reach a lot more people, if we could do that.
absolutely. Well, and like you said, there are citizens out in California, places couldn't get here, that would like to have the information. I know a lot of my audience that these topics are close to their heart. And if you guys need any technical assistance, feel free to holler at me and we'll try to work it
Okay.
out as best we can. We are at 20 minutes. I don't see any questions. Is there anything about this summit or the extension program that we haven't talked about that you think is important to mention?
Well, maybe just two things. One is if you read our articles in Chewing the Cud and Mvskoke Media newspaper, is really try to envision something. Uh, Envision something like Muscogee made, which would be like a branding thing that we could do for the Muscogee Nation and people could follow on our brand. It's like putting out there and trying to like envision it and then letting things manifest. If you envision it and you kind of put it out there, and all of a sudden people see that and they start saying, "Hey, I'd like to get involved with that, and I'd like to help out with that." And so
Mm-hmm.
I think vision it and you put it on paper and you kind of manifest things in your mind. You make things happen. And the other thing I like to say is, see them in extension. We're new. we've started last November. We have a strategic plan. Is it the perfect strategic plan? Probably not. They all are going to change. But what we do want is we want citizens to reach out and say, hey, where are the gaps that you'd like to see us support? We don't want to step on the toes or compete with for clientele or customers, so to speak,
Mm-hmm.
that the nation's already doing. Like let's want to join forces with what the nation's already doing and just pulling that rope in the same direction and say, hey, I'd like to see you guys do this programmatically. A beekeeping class or a canning class or whatever it may be. I know the Conservation Commission does some of those things. That we don't want to reinvent the wheel, but we want to maybe fill in the gaps of what people want. And if you reach out to me, there's nothing that we can't do. Extension is really anything. It could be community development, it could be ag, it could be horticulture. It really is. It just runs the gamut of things in life, and uh, we're very much want to empower our citizens, and that's what we want to do: is educate, empower, and start building community and making a difference. So that's what Seaman Extension is going to be doing.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us tonight, Chris, again. And thank you guys for tuning in and watching the program. Next week, is it next week? Yes. Next week on the 6th, we are scheduled to have a Lawyered Up live stream at 6 p.m. And we're going to be having Muscogee citizen Reverend Randall, who is a part of the lawsuit that's going to the Oklahoma Supreme Court right now against Ryan Walters. You guys probably have seen it in the news, but him and his legal representation is going to be joining us to talk about that case. So if you're interested in hearing about that, or you want to ask any questions or make any comments, tune in for that. And then there's some other stuff coming on. You guys have been asking me when the Council Oak ceremony is going to be. It is scheduled for November 9th. That's a Saturday. I am going to go to it and try to live stream as much of it as I can, if we can work that out. Just to give you a heads up, both of those things are going to happen next week. So with that being said, I think we've covered all the bases. Chris, thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining us again, guys, and we will see you again. Mado Hadum Chihichat Lees.